What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Sharkbine, joined always by my man in the corner, producer Nick Belsky. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they get some massive quarterback news, the news we have been waiting all week to find out. Meanwhile, a running back that we said yesterday was probably going to return. Well, looks like we might be right on that one. The Steelers avoid a big hit in Pat Freiermuth, a concerning injury as we stood here yesterday. And well, we're going to make some bold predictions, and it's Friday. So you best believe we are making some game picks. With that said, it's a beautiful one here in the Berg. There's some crisp in the air today. I don't think it hit 50 degrees until closer to noon. That's how you know this is football season. We are back. It is flannel sweater weather, and that's the best time of year. So I will ask you, and I hope it's good. How you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I woke up this morning. Me and the wife went to Starbucks to get some coffee.
Beautiful.
And I said, "Oh, what's the temperature?" 46 degrees. All right. Once we reach below 50, I was like, all right, I guess I got to wear something other than just shorts and flip-flops. So, but yes, I too am a fan of sweater weather, shorts and a sweatshirt or flannel. So it is fall weather. It is finally football weather in Pittsburgh and in the DMV.
Yeah, I'm glad it is. I'm glad it is down there. Yeah, the leaves are changing. You go outside in the morning and you're either wearing a sweatshirt, you see your breath a little bit, you got your cup of coffee. It's a good time. What do you get at Starbucks if you don't drink coffee?
I just drive, to be completely honest. Fresh air, morning air. I don't get anything because, again, I don't drink coffee.
I know your wife's there, and I would like to ask her what her thoughts are on this, but I won't embarrass you on live television or live YouTube. We'll move on. We'll move on. The Pittsburgh Steelers got some big injury news. Russell Wilson is officially back. He will be the quarterback 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 6 against the Las Vegas Raiders. A move that I think we saw coming. Did you have any doubt by the end of this week that Russ was going to be inactive? And did you still have the looming thought of, because I heard Mike Garofalo say it on the Rich Eisen show yesterday, that his bold prediction is Russell Wilson's going to start against the Raiders. Did you have that same thought at any point this week?
I didn't have that thought. And again, with the Garofalo thing, I looked at that and I said, I don't think they would do that. And I certainly hope they don't do that, because I've been pounding the table all week. Justin needs this opportunity to be able to bounce back, especially like, I get it. If you go and revert back next week, it's one thing. But if you don't allow him to at least prove that, hey, I can get back on track here, I can get a win after back-to-back losses, then I'm going to be down on it. But I'm happy that it seems like he's going to get the start. I was not overly concerned that he wasn't, but as soon as I saw Russell Wilson talk yesterday, looking at the way that he was answering questions, I was like, yeah, this guy is going to be ready.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I think Russ would have played 4 weeks ago if you told him, yeah, you'll be the backup, but you will dress. And I think he still would have been like, yeah, that's fine. Just get me on the field. It's 1 day, 1 week closer to where I would like to be, which is the starter. I will say, I'm still thinking about this Starbucks thing. I can't get it out of my head. You don't get a green tea, something. You're just showing up for the fun. Love the game. So,
listen, I'm a good husband, so I just drive her to Starbucks, and then every once in a while, if she asks, I'll get like a ham and cheese croissant or something like that.
Ham and cheese croissant. That's not bad. All right.
There you go.
All right.
Does that
just
it
eased me a little bit. I was just like, you're driving all the way. You know what I mean? Just to be like,
it's like 5 minutes. Who is not within 5 minutes of a Starbucks at this day and age?
That is true. Very people who don't get coffee, who don't waste $9 on a coffee. I can tell you that they're living better lives, but are they really? I don't know. Who knows? I'm glad we got that sorted out. That was going to bother me. Whole show here. Show. I would have thought about that. I agree with you. I don't think there was any point at any place that I thought Russ was going to start this week, but I did think he was going to come back. It does feel, and I don't agree with this, and this is where I wanted to go with this conversation, is I know we've talked about Russ returning all week and what it means and what Justin Fields has to do, but it kind of feels like the tide is changing to where people are somewhat accepting, hey, maybe it is time to start Russell Wilson. Maybe it is time to turn that corner and start a new leaf and look at this and say, Justin did great. He got us to where we wanted to be. Awesome. Let's see what Russ can do now. I hope that gets shut down this week because I think Justin plays very well. I don't think Russ solves all the problems, and I don't think Russ adds more problems. I really don't. And I think he does provide a boost. I do think you're going to get that with Russell Wilson, and I do think Russ has or plays better in some areas than Justin does, certainly. Plus, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. I mean, you can't take any of this away from him. Maybe he is the right choice. But I don't think that Russell Wilson comes in here and the Pittsburgh Steelers are suddenly, 3-0, 6-0 again, and they go on this long run and this was it. That was the answer. I mean, Russell Wilson being out there doesn't change anything for George Pickens' attitude, doesn't change anything for the fact that the offensive line can't block, doesn't change anything that the defense is struggling, and doesn't change anything that the running game isn't there. Like, I don't think any of that changes. I would like to see Justin get one more opportunity here to show everybody, hey, when things are clicking, I am the guy that can make this 10 times better. And that, yeah, we have struggled the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that would be on me. I think we should put blame on others around me and acknowledge that first. And I get it. The easiest way to change is a quarterback. And I don't think fans in general, you could look at the media, but you look at national media and hot takes, that's all they are anymore. That's all it is hot takes, is just what's the flashiest storyline? This is it. Let's run with it. But I think fans are at a point where they're not 100% sold on either of these guys, so they can really care less as long as they're winning. I get that. I definitely get that. I think Justin provides a little bit of a spark that I don't know if you're going to get with Russ, and I don't know if that spark's going to be evident every single week, but I think that I saw it, and I think you saw it in Indianapolis. We saw it against the Chargers. Like, that spark is there, and it could happen. And if you could get the pieces around him to work out better, I just hope this is the week we get to see one more time of, hey, Jaylen Warren's back and things look good and the receiving game is good and the defense is playing very well. And this is a game where Justin can say, this is what this offense looks like. This is what this team looks like when there are not issues everywhere. And I am the guy that should be leading that group in that fight because I can provide that spark. That's where I stand. And I get it. It's all about winning. If he doesn't win, if he doesn't do that, cool, you move on to Russell. But I hope that he gets one more opportunity where the rest of everything around him works, because I think Justin deserves one more shot of not a performance with an asterisk, but a real performance of just, hey, your team, what can you do with it? And we'll see. And I don't know if he's going to get that, but I hope he does.
Yeah, I agree. I hope he does too. And I've seen a lot, especially this week with Russell Wilson returning to practice as a full participant. It seems like people are kind of dividing into two camps. You're either pro Russell Wilson or you're pro Justin Fields, and you can't be both. I think the truth of the matter is probably the ceiling is higher with Justin Fields, but the floor is much higher with Russell Wilson. We haven't seen Justin Fields get down to the floor yet, but we know it's there because we saw it in Chicago. And that's always something that's a threat. But at the same time, he hasn't shown that, except for maybe 2 or 3 plays that me and you have texted each other about saying, oh, yeah, there's the floor if he keeps doing that. And one of them was the negative 30-yard sack fumble against the Colts. But what did he do right after that? 3 straight touchdown drives to get them back into the game. So I think that at the end of the day, where these guys are at currently, and that takes out Russ's resume and kind of brings you to what Russ is right now, coming off a calf injury, not playing football over the past month. Russ has a higher floor. Justin has a higher ceiling. And I would personally like to go with the guy that has the higher ceiling.
I agree. I think you could look at it right now and say you're hunting for a Super Bowl. Who cares about the higher ceiling? I believe Justin gives you that higher ceiling this season still. I believe Justin is the guy that if you put him in a crucial situation where it's, you got to go win this game, dude, he could go win it because he's done it. I mean, once, almost twice. And I get it. Almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. But where we sit here right now, it's once. It's one in an asterisk, a bad asterisk. But I just feel like you could continue to develop that. And by the end of the season, who knows what you have in this kid? Who knows how good Justin Fields can be. And I could be totally wrong. This could be a freezing cold take on Monday, but there are a lot of things in me that think Justin Fields just deserves one shot with a good offense and a good defense around him to say, there it is. Because that's what we talked about the first couple of weeks of the season. That's what we talked about all summer long is what does Justin Fields look like with a good team around him? The last 2 weeks, he has not had a good team around him. So what does it look like when that team is good again? What does that look like when Justin Fields actually has a good team around him? That's a question I would like to answer. We'll find out on Sunday. Justin will be the guy. Do you think, is there any part of you that thinks Russell Wilson steps into this game during the game for Justin Fields?
Barring injury, no. And if you do, then I have even more questions about what Mike Tomlin is doing in Vegas the night before if he decides to start flip-flopping quarterbacks like he did right guards a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But do you think that Justin has a leash to where he could get pulled?
I think he does. I think he does. And if he didn't, I feel like it wouldn't have been as big of a deal of Mike Tomlin saying he will dress, he will be the number 2. I think if Justin struggles, then, again, struggles meaning not just has a couple bad series, like starts to revert back to things that we haven't seen in a Steelers uniform, turning the ball over, making horrible mistakes. We haven't seen that yet. If he does that, yeah, there's a chance that they pull him for Wilson. But I think that is a long shot.
I agree. I believe that leash would not be so short that it's the team starts off slow, Justin's done, there it is, we'll move on. I believe it's got to be Justin looks bad, now we'll move on. And if it's not, then the plan all along was for Russ to start. Then it was, it was Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett situation to where it was, Mitch looks bad, but that wasn't really a play or a time to bench him. The plan was for Kenny to get in there eventually. I believe if that's the case here, it's the plan for Russ to get in there no matter what. Justin didn't even have a real shot. On the other side of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially get a good injury in Jaylen Warren back this week. Massive news because, man, do they need a lot of things. A running back is certainly one of them. And Pat Freiermuth is good to go after dealing with a calf injury. He was a full participant today. No injury designation. He's cleared. He's out there. I do expect Jaylen Warren to play on Sunday against the Raiders. What do you see his workload kind of being like if he does return?
I'd like to say that he could come back in and be what he was before he got injured, which again, let's remember, he was coming off of a hamstring injury, so he wasn't really getting as much of the share of carries that we would have expected coming into the season. But I think that the fact that he started off this week doubtful and he worked his way up to being a full participant and being no injury designation, it still makes me feel like, okay, they're going to slow play this. I think he's going to get some carries. I think he's going to be the number 2 back, but I still think it's not going to be what you saw late last season when it was nearly 50-50, or depending on the game plan, it was closer to 60-40. I think you're going to see more of like a 75-25 carry share between him and Najee Harris.
I do too, but I do believe that there's an opportunity for Najee to not hit these holes and the Steelers to go, screw, we got to win some games. Doesn't matter. We can't lose this game. We got to have a running game. You got to put Jaylen out there. We'll figure it out from there. I do believe that that's a thought in Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith's mind. Is Najee is good. They aren't losing faith in him, but defenses are playing him so strongly that you need somebody else out there. Jaylen's the guy. Jaylen's proven, so you have to give him more shares. I think he goes into there with the 75-25 split, could leave that game with closer to a 50-50 with an opportunity to make some plays, depending on how the defense plays against Najee Harris. But definitely big news and stuff to, I guess, latch onto and keep an eye out for. I want to dive into something a little bit more fun here before we make our picks and answer everybody's questions. It's week 6. The Pittsburgh Steelers go to Vegas. Everybody wants to come up with these bold, crazy, hot takes all week long. I mean, there's quarterbacks and wide receiver and running backs and everything out the wazoo going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and everybody wants to talk about it. Awesome. Well, it's game week. We're here. The weekend has arrived. It's chilly. Everybody's making DraftKings Sportsbook picks. It's a great time. It's a great time. I got some bold predictions because everybody else wants to make some bold predictions. I want to make some bold predictions. And I think mine are somewhat realistic because that's the worst part about bold predictions is it's always something nuts. Like Russell Wilson is going to bench Justin Fields at halftime of the Raiders game, or, you're going to trade George Pickens to the Packers for Romeo Doubs in a 4th round pick. I don't know what it is. It's always something nuts. I got 2 of them that I want to toss your way that I think are pretty okay where we stand here right now. But I also think that they are bold. Are you ready? I'm gonna throw one at you, then we'll go with the other one.
All set.
All right. First one here, the Pittsburgh Steelers bold prediction, week 6, Las Vegas Raiders, is that Justin Fields runs for more rushing yards than anybody in this game, and I don't think it's close. I think Justin Fields puts his legs on display and says, screw it. If my wide receivers aren't going to win me this game, if this is an opportunity for me to say my back is against the wall, if this is it, do or die, I got a leash. We'll see what happens. I'm going to do what I do best, and I'm going to escape the pocket. I'm going to run around like a lunatic, and I'm going to make some things happen with my legs because I am the ultimate athlete. I am Lamar Jackson 2.0, and he probably is. He's the closest thing to Lamar Jackson in the NFL. Go on, play like it. I think my first bold prediction here is that Justin Fields takes off running so many times in this game, ends up with, I want to say, over 100 yards. That's where I was going first with this, is Justin Fields has over 100 yards rushing, but I'm going to take it up another notch here, and I'm going to say on top of the 100 yards, Justin Fields is the leading rusher on both teams in this ball game, and I don't think it's close.
I like it. I like it a lot. We haven't really seen him unleash that ridiculous running for 60 yards down the sideline speed to this point of the season. For the most part, he's been kind of trying to prove that he can do it in the pocket. So if he has his back up against the wall, which it kind of seems like he does, it would make sense that he's going to kind of leave it all out there on the field at Allegiant Stadium. And if he does, that is one of his biggest assets. And we've seen him kind of stay reserved to maybe stay a little bit more healthy. But if his back is against the wall and he has to prove something, I think you see him pull it out more. So I like that bold prediction. 100 would have been very bold, but leading the game in rushing yards, I like that as well.
Yeah, I think it's, again, a realistic bold take that I think could happen and puts Justin in. What happens then? Okay, what happens then? Let's say the Pittsburgh Steelers win. They don't win big. Justin Fields runs for like 120 yards, throws a touchdown, scores another touchdown on his legs, looks pretty all right. The Steelers don't look crazy. Is that it? You know, could he do it on his legs? Could he win this? Can he win this competition with his legs?
If the Steelers haven't already decided that he's the starter going into next week by now, and it is truly what Mark Caboli said, and they are dead set on Russell Wilson, I don't think it matters what he does. I don't think anything that he does this weekend changes their mind. Now, where their mind is at, that is only known inside the building, and then whispers have leaked out. But if they are dead set on Russell being the guy next week, and everything that has come out starting to sound like they are, I don't think it matters what Justin does this weekend, unless he goes out there and breaks some records.
I don't disagree. My second bold prediction here, it's not George Pickens, although that would have been a good one. I was thinking about George Pickens when we were talking about these, was saying, yeah, let's come up with some crazy George Pickens stat line of 250 yards, but I don't think that's it. I don't think the meltdown's happened yet. I think it's just the beginning. He's going to have a little bit, but this just kind of feels like the snowball has just formed and it is now starting to roll down that hill. I'm going to go a little bit crazier on this one. I'm going to keep it with the Pittsburgh Steelers winning, but I'm going to go both sides of the football here. And I'm going to say all those times we talked about a shutout, all those times we said the Steelers are going to win big. This is it. This is going to be crazy. Pittsburgh Steelers win by plus 20 points in this one. And it is the game that everybody on Monday is talking about. The Steelers are back. This is it. This team's ridiculous. There's no shutting them down. I'm saying my second bold prediction is Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to add shut them out in this. I want to add it. I want to add it to the bold prediction, but I'm saying win by 20 minimum in this game against the Raiders.
See, that's why I don't drink coffee. It makes you do crazy stuff like say that.
I drink
as much as I would love to see it, and I would love to see the Pittsburgh Steelers give us an easy Sunday afternoon, the defense look absolutely dominant. It's Pittsburgh Steelers football, and it's the National Football League. So I can't tell you on that one, and I can't say I agree. I understand it's a bold prediction. It's not exactly what you expect to happen. We're going to do our game picks here in just a little bit, but I can't tell you, and I can't say that I quite agree that is anything in the realm of possibility, which is how you kind of set the table for this.
All right. Well, look at I'm
hoping I'm the cold takes guy on Monday.
I hope you are too. I hope you are too. Although you had a good one. You kind of agreed with the Justin thing. At least said there's a possibility. I'm telling you, I think 20 plus points. I look at this game and I might be the only one left. I might be too optimistic, but I'm an optimistic human being. And I like what I've seen out of Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers when they're good. I've liked what I've seen out of them. And I think we've just scratched the surface of how good they could be. I think there are a lot of elements holding them back. I also think that you went into Indianapolis, you got shook. You had guys just getting a little bit too big-headed, and then it came back to bite them in the butt, and they couldn't rebound against Dallas. That's where I stand here. I believe that if you lose 3 in a row, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, everybody and anybody should be on the hot seat. This should not just be you got to make a quarterback change. It should be a how close do we get to talking about, or how much do we have to talk about Mike Tomlin being on the hot seat, because that's ridiculous. That's as bad as it gets. To lose Indy, Dallas, Vegas. Somebody's got to start talking coaching there more than the players. But I don't think that's the case. I think Mike Tomlin comes out here. This is what he does, man. He brings you as low as possible. He gets you as angry as he could possibly get you. He just rattles you. He rattles you as a fan. And then he says, "Hey, pal, this is a game where he walks off blowing his kisses to the fans. This is what this is. This is what this is." That's my bold prediction. I'm saying over 20 points. And with that said, we'll transition here into the best time of the week, the best time of the week, and that is our game picks. Pittsburgh Steelers, Las Vegas Raiders, week 6 in Allegiant. I just call it the spaceship, so I always kind of forget what it's called, but it's Allegiant, but it looks like for anybody who's been there, looks like a spaceship. Like, just looks like a giant spaceship. Allegiant Stadium, a game that you have to anticipate will be heavily crowded with Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Always is. Steelers fans travel to Vegas. I think they live there. I think Pittsburgh Steelers fans live primarily in 2 spots, and that is, I guess, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we could really go like all of the surrounding area. You could go all the way up to Scranton, Pennsylvania. I grew up in the black and gold country everywhere, and you could probably go down to you, or at least pretty close to you.
Yeah, certainly West Virginia.
So definitely West Virginia, and then Vegas, and then Vegas. So they're traveling west. They head to Vegas. Pittsburgh Steelers, Las Vegas Raiders, week 6. Hit me with the lines, then we'll make our picks.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers, despite losing in back-to-back weeks, are still road favorites in this one. They are -3 on the road against the Raiders. The over-under has come back down to reality a little bit for a Steelers game at 36.5. So -3 in favor of the Steelers and 36.5 as the over-under.
Okay, I like that. I like the 36.5. I think that's a good one here, especially because they're going to win by 20 plus. I like the 3 because, again, they're going to win by 20 plus, so it keeps it close, keeps the odds in. For those of you feeling money line, you want to mess with a little bit, go plus set or -7, -6.5. Maybe you're probably going to get some good odds on that. I will be one of them. And again, you can listen to me because chances are I'm not going to make that bet, but I am. But I am going to make that bet. So do with that information as you will. What's our record here? You picked Pittsburgh last week, correct?
I picked Pittsburgh last week. So as of right now, Noah, you are 3-2 on the season because you have picked the Steelers in every week. I am 2-3 because I picked against them in week 1 against the Falcons.
Okay. We're getting to the half of the season where I'm going to have to start picking against them. And I think next week might be the first game I do pick against them. Depending on
there's plenty of opportunity in the back half of the season to potentially pick against them.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's get realistic here, but bold at the same time, if you catch my drift. Pittsburgh Steelers, Las Vegas Raiders, week 6. I'm sticking with it, my friend. I'm sticking with it. Pittsburgh Steelers, 24. And the only reason they only scored 24 points is because they take their foot off the gas at the end of this, because this is a Pittsburgh Steelers game. Let's be realistic. They're not scoring 35. They're not winning the game 35-10. That's not what they do. It's not what they ever do. 24. Pittsburgh Steelers, 24. That gives them 3 touchdowns and a field goal. I don't think this is a big Boz day. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. I think at one point during this week, we got like a Chris Boswell plus 60. We'll toss it in there. 60-yard field goal from Chris Boswell. 24-3. Pittsburgh Steelers run away with this one. This is not a bump game for the Vegas Raiders. This is an Aiden O'Connell is about to learn how miserable the Pittsburgh Steelers will make his life to start this one. Antonio Pierce got his bump. The bump is gone. You don't get 2 bumps. And Aiden O'Connell's already got a bump. Now you're adding 2 bumps of Aiden O'Connell and Antonio Pierce, and you're trying to bring a third into the same mix. No way. It's over. You ran out of those new quarterback, new coach boosts. It's done. Pittsburgh Steelers 24, Las Vegas Raiders 3. I can't wait for that graphic to go up on Sunday and for this game to end at like 7:30 in the afternoon Eastern time for me to say, called it. I'm going 24-3.
Okay. I got one question for you before I go into my spiel here.
Yeah.
You picking with your heart or you picking with your head here?
Both. There's everything that tells me this. Everything that tells me this. Justin Fields understands the situation. He understands 2 things, okay? He understands that there might be some opportunity because I don't know what Mike Tomlin's saying him. Chances are Mike Tomlin's lying a little bit when he's speaking to Justin Fields, but I don't know what he's being told. He's either being told one of 2 things. One, this is an opportunity for you to keep this job, that you can go out there and prove to us I should be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least in week 7, and then we'll take it from there. Or he's being told Russ is really shaking the rust off, and then he will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. And either way, it says, okay, I have to go out there and I have to show the entire NFL that there are no questions that I am a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Why? Because if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to put their faith in me, I have to shut all this nonsense down, and he's got a massive mountain to climb to do so with Russ being back. And if Russ is the guy and the Steelers are going to make him the guy no matter what, he's got to show the entire league, hey, you can't forget about me in a couple months because I'm going to be worth the starting quarterback job. And he's going to go out there and he knows what's on the line. He's fully aware what's on the line, whether he wants to acknowledge it or not. On top of that, Jaylen Warren's going to be a massive boost. You're finally going to get a running game. I don't care what his rep count is. You're going to get a running game. That's going to be huge. And the Steelers defense looked so bad last week that I have a hard time believing they're going to look bad this week. They might look a little bit bad, but I mean, they looked so good against bad talent the first couple of weeks. What I get, like, Joe Flacco and Dak Prescott are not in the same category as Bo Nix, whoever the backup is in East. No, it was Tyler Heineke, a beat up Justin Herbert, and a beat up Kirk Cousins. They're just 2 totally different categories of quarterback. Aiden O'Connell is Tyler Heineke-esque. That's where I would put him. I just don't think I think logically there's no chance for Vegas here. And I believe Justin Fields is going to do some crazy things in this game. So a little bit of both.
I like your passion. I like your answer to my question. And I think it almost changed what I was thinking. And actually it did change what I was thinking a little bit for one of the scores, but I actually have a higher offensive day than you. I just have a little bit more faith in Aiden O'Connell than you. Here's what I have to say. This is the 4th time the Steelers have played the Raiders in a row. But last season was the first time the Steelers had beaten the Raiders on the road since 1995. However, undefeated against Vegas as the Raiders on the road. More importantly, this is the first time all season that the Pittsburgh Steelers are starting the same 5 offensive linemen for a second consecutive week. Add the fact that they get Jaylen Warren on top of that. Add the fact that Justin Fields has his back against the wall. I see the most points that we have seen from the Steelers all season long. So with that in mind, I'm going Steelers 27, Las Vegas Raiders 17, because I'm not going to disrespect a guy in Aiden O'Connell who ended last year on a hot streak, was part of that 60-point performance for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't care who they were playing. 60 points in the NFL is impressive. I was surprised that he wasn't the starter out of the gate. I think that him coming in is going to help them because I think that this team wants to play harder for him. So I'll give them 17. 27-17 is my final in favor of the Steelers.
I can't believe there's like a part of me judging, and this is on me. This is not about you. I can't believe there's a part of me judging a 27-17 win. Like, I'm like, what? That's a terrible score. That's a terrible prediction. Like that. I can't believe I'm judging that. And that's on me. That's a great score. Sounds very logical. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me going, man, that's a bad score. It's a really bad score. I don't know. Hey. 17 points for Aiden O'Connell. Okay, we'll see what happens. I mean, Bo Nix put up 6. 10, 6. He
put up 6. I think 9. Sorry, it was 13-9.
9. I was going to say 6 does not sound right. Yeah, it was 9.
No, that sounds like too large of a margin of victory for
I was like, I remember this being closer. I'm just saying. But we'll see. Hey, you're right. Aiden O'Connell, 60 points is a lot of points. He was facing Easton Stick, so different.
Was he though? No, he was facing the Chargers defense.
He was facing Easton Stick. Let's be honest. He was facing Easton Stick. All right, you going 27-17. I'm going 24-3. We'll see what happens on Monday. I'm just saying that I think I'm just very excited for a little told you to the world on Twitter come Sunday evening. And everybody better retweet it because I need to get my Twitter impressions up. I feel low on the totem pole. All right, with that said, we're going to answer everybody's questions. So if you got them, please toss them in the chat. But first, we're going to take a break and hear from our boys over at BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that scares you? For me, it's the obvious ones. Death, loss, failure. Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us. But what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears while finding ways to overcome them. Because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. I'm somebody who's benefited from therapy for a long time, and I've been an advocate for therapy for years. And I'm excited to tell you guys about BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/allsteelers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allsteelers. Shout out our boys over at BetterHelp. With that said, it is Friday. We got one more day to answer everybody's questions before we get into another great weekend of football and another London game. Very excited. There are a few things better than waking up, rolling out of bed, pouring a cup of coffee, sitting down and going, there's football on. I forgot there was football on. And then getting to watch football all day for literally 2 full days. So great time. Shout out. With that said, we're going to answer some questions. If you got them, toss them in the chat. We'll answer as many as we can before we get out of here. Nick, I'm going to toss it to you. What do we got?
Yeah, let's start with Vibin with the Dogs, who simply says, and I know we talked about it, but Vibin wants to make sure that they put their 2 cents in here. Can we bench Fields at halftime?
Vibin with the Dogs, man. Look, everybody needs a troll. I'm glad Justin Fields has one. I'm glad Justin Fields. It keeps you on edge. You know what I mean? Gives you a little chip on the shoulder at all times. I think there's a possibility. Obviously, there will be a leash for Justin Fields, but it's got to be a crazy leash. Crazy leash. That being said, Tone Diggs on the Pat McAfee show said that, wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I think I would be. I definitely think I would be, but it's a possibility.
Let's go over to Barber, who says, I love Tomlin, but man, he makes my head hurt. Do you think we're so happy to be 10-7, 9-8? It's like we're only focused on Tomlin and his non-losing seasons.
I believe this is the first time in a long time. Mike Tomlin wants to win playoff games. He wants to win a Super Bowl. Let's not get that confused. But I think this is the first time in a long time that Mike Tomlin feels some pressure to win a playoff game. That he's saying, okay, there are outside forces here that are disappointed in me more than I am disappointed in me. And because of that, I do think that there's a little bit more pressure. We'll see. We'll see. I don't believe that he's into the 10-7 and 9-8 seasons. I get it that he plays to not lose more than he plays to win. Hopefully that changes. It's a downfall of his, but he definitely wants to win. I will say that.
Let's go over to a second comment from Barber, who says, why did we give up on Najee Harris so quickly?
I don't think anybody should be giving up on Najee Harris. It's more so if you watch the film, there are reasons for the numbers and the lack of production right now, and it's just defenses are really playing against Najee Harris. They are very determined to shut down Najee Harris, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do there. Sometimes it is like Najee's not hitting the hole or he's not fast enough to get around the edge. It's a bunch of factors. Nobody should be giving up on him. It's more so you need help. You need another running back because the Steelers' offense is not working with just Najee, and some of that has to do with defenses playing him a certain way. Others have to do with the Steelers' offense is just designed for a quicker running back. And Najee is not that guy. So you need somebody else. You need to change a pace back.
We did bold predictions earlier. Steven has a bold prediction. He says Pickens 100 plus and 2 touchdowns, Fields 80 plus rushing yards and 1 touchdown. What do you think about that?
I like it. I like it. I like it. I think I like it for a bold prediction. George Pickens, I'm less bold on than I am Justin Fields this week because I think maybe for George, but who knows? We'll see. He's not motivated yet. You know what I mean? Like he's not. Last year, you could tell. Like you were like, okay, this guy's pissed off. This guy hates us. He cannot wait to prove everybody wrong. Right now, it's just like, yeah, screw you guys. Like whatever. This is not a big deal. When it probably is, and he's going to get fined tomorrow morning. I would imagine maybe tonight. I think the fines come out at 5:00. But yeah, I like the bold prediction. I think that'd be a nice day. Be a nice day. There's my 3 touchdowns, by the way.
There are your 3 touchdowns. Let's go over to the Honest Truth, who says, really hoping for a 3-game heater before the bye week and making the Steelers 6-2, but we need the rushing game to come through. Also, Justin Fields for QB1. Hashtag sorry, Russ.
Hashtag sorry, Russ. We should have started that a long time ago. I like a 3-game. I mean, you go on a 3-game heater. There's no way you could change quarterbacks at this point. That's your team. You got to move forward. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. This is 3 very easy games. The Steelers will avoid the coach change bump this week with the Jets. They will settle back into normal, old, terrible Jets a week from now. And the Giants are the Giants. So you should hopefully be able to beat them. It starts here in Vegas. You got to see if you could overcome them. Then I feel good about it. Yeah.
We got another one from Vibin with the Dogs asking, should we give somebody else a shot at slot corner? Beanie's been bad, in my opinion. Do you give it to Thomas Gran or someone else?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just been one like real bad game from Beanie. And again, I'm not giving up on Beanie. I just think he's not developed enough. He's not ready enough to have the role that he currently has. And you got to really wait for Cam Sutton. The problem with Thomas Graham is that the Steelers were hoping to get more out of Beanie Bishop, and they've now found themselves where they don't want to call Thomas Graham up so many times that they can't call him up again the rest of the season just in case something happens. You only get 3 times. This will be time 2 if they do call him up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they brought Thomas Graham up and they tried to use him in the slot a little bit this week, especially with DeMonte KZ missing a game.
Let's go over to the Honest Truth again, who says, I know it's almost impossible to answer, but can Justin Fields become an elite quarterback and carry the Steelers on deep playoff runs?
I do think that's a possibility. I do. Justin Fields is uber talented. He's got a bunch of development left in him. Let's not act like he's perfect or is ready to do this now, but you saw the strides. You've seen every stride along the way. I'm curious to see where these strides take him. I think he is going to turn out to be a good quarterback in the NFL. It's just a matter of where. I hope it's with Pittsburgh, and I do think he could take you on a deep playoff run if everything around him is looking good.
Let's go over to the Fields is for the Pickens, who says, what's more likely? Steelers make a deep playoff run or the Steelers go undefeated within the division?
Ooh, this is a good what's more likely. This is a very good what's more likely. Steelers make a deep playoff run or the Steelers go undefeated in the division. All right, so let's chalk up. Let's go. Let's just break this down as it is. Browns, that's an easy 2 victories. Not the easiest.
You throw the word easy around a lot here.
I do. Not the easiest, but they're looking like they should be able to win those games. Does that sound better? They're looking as if that's favorable matchups. Favorable matchups against the Browns. I think the Bengals are still a very good football team. I don't think that's the easiest challenge. I would say that one's definitely not a guarantee. The Ravens are by far not a guarantee right now. They might be the second hottest team in football besides the Kansas City Chiefs. Deep playoff run, though. That's a tough one. I'm going to go deep playoff run. I think what's more likely is the Steelers going to deep playoff run. Between these two, the Steelers going to deep playoff run. Deep is 2 wins. Can you pull off 2 wins? You get stuck with I don't even know who else is going to make the let's say the Steelers get a wild card spot. I don't even know who else would get a wild card spot right now. The AFC stinks. Like the Broncos. Are the Broncos going to get a wild card spot? They might. And then I don't know. The Indianapolis Colts are going to get another one, or the Dolphins maybe. I don't know. They might play Russell Wilson and the Dolphins.
The Chargers might get a spot.
Chargers. There you go. I think they could beat all those teams, and then you just have to beat maybe the Ravens. So I would say deep playoff run. I would go that one.
Let's jump back up to Marlon Lewis, who says, is there anything Justin can do to hold off Russ? Didn't sound like it based off of Tomlin's words, but he can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog now, can he?
Can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. I would say there are things, but I agree with you. It did very much so look like or sound like Mike Tomlin was saying Russ has to get back on this moving train, and when he's ready, he will be our starting quarterback. I picked up on the same thing. I don't know. I think in Mike Tomlin's head, the decision is made. Justin could go out there and have a crazy game and maybe force the issue and have everybody. I believe it's the entire Pittsburgh Steelers organization against Mike Tomlin right now. And I believe that if Mike Tomlin puts Russ out there after Justin has a crazy game, if he has a crazy game, you've now put yourself in a situation where you have vouched for somebody. You have pulled the plug on somebody else that is winning football games. And if you don't continue to win football games, if this was not the right move, you should pay the consequences for that. I don't know if he ever will, but I believe it is on him if he does. But I agree with you. Mike Tomlin's words did not sound as if Justin Fields is the long-term starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like it.
If I'm going to get cut off, I'm glad it's by that video there. But Marlon has another question here that is near and dear to our hearts. He says, do you think we see Jack Coletto when it's time to get serious about running the football?
Man, shout out Jack Coletto. But he is no longer on the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. He was released last week, I believe. He is no longer there. We could have a quick moment of silence for our boy Jack Coletto, but it's tough times here. Tough times for the Steelers. So, no. The answer is no.
Let's go to Paranormal, who says, who do you got in score? We gave that, but who scores the first touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Ooh, I think earlier in the week I said Najee Harris. So maybe I'll go Najee Harris again. I'm going to go Justin Fields. Justin Fields scores the first touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers, runs it in, crazy run, boom, 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 in this touchdown. First drive. Make it bold. Justin Fields, first drive, first touchdown. He's probably got decent odds on that.
Justin Fields has 5 passing touchdowns this season. 4 of them are to tight ends. Give me big Darnell Washington with his second of the season.
I love that one.
Let's go over to Dalton, who says, is Fields on a short lease? I think we answered that one. So let's go to Dalton's second question here. Noah and Nick, I'll be at the Commanders versus Steelers game in Maryland next month. Will you guys be there? This is going to be my 11th game in person.
Hey, that is awesome. I'm not positive if I will be there next month. It kind of depends. Away games are every other week kind of situation. You just plan it out and you hit the road, or you don't plan it out and you don't hit the road. Depends on where everybody stands. So I'll let you know, but that would be awesome. Would be cool to meet some people down in the DMV. Nick, you hitting up that game?
I mean, I don't have plans to as of right now, but maybe I will. We'll have to wait and see. I got to see what weekend it is too, because the dates all wrong in my head.
Yeah, also very true. Very true.
Let's go over to Easton Benton, who says, I've been listening for about a month now. Really enjoy the podcast, but do you think injuries are why we aren't playing as good as we did in the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, first off, Easton, shout out. Appreciate you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the club. I do believe that injuries are piling up, especially on the offensive line. That's a killer. You are sitting out here with a bad right tackle in Broderick Jones, a rookie, a 4th round rookie starting at guard, and lost your best guard. Not anything wrong with Isaac, but Isaac's dealing with a pectoral injury, and that only adds to the equation as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, Jeremiah Moon and a bunch of people we do not know are going to play outside linebacker this week alongside TJ Watt. That's not ideal in any circumstance. You are rocking an undrafted rookie, and I get it. That's a suspension, not an injury. That corner, and now DeMonte KZ is out. So, yes, injuries are adding up. Not good. I do think that's why they aren't playing as well these past 2 weeks than they were the first 3 weeks of the season.
Let's go over to Jayski, who says, about to get into my workout, so I'll put my question in now.
Yes, sir.
What all-time Steelers, one from offense, one from defense, would you bring back to fix the gaps on both sides of the football?
Okay. I mean, is it crazy to say bring back a tackle? Like, would it be a bad, boring answer to say
That has
bring
gone through
back
my
a
head
tackle?
though since I read that.
Yeah, like would it be nuts to say bring back? I don't know. We'd have to really. Who's the greatest Steelers offensive tackle of all time? Like that's the hardest part is they've had some great interior guys. The outside, like Alejandro Villanueva is coming to mind, but that's not the best answer. There's definitely better answers out there. You just gotta find them. When it comes to, you could also bring Le'Veon Bell. I would say Le'Veon Bell is a good one because he would fit very well in Arthur Smith's offense. Very, very well in Arthur Smith's offense. And then this guy named Antonio Brown
Yeah, that would help.
would probably help situate the situation just a little bit. Definitely just a little bit. I personally, if I had to pick one of them, AB would be a good one to pick. But I would go those three on offense, and on defense. Oh, I mean, right now you need an outside linebacker desperately. So that guy James Harrison would be pretty good. Antonio Brown and James Harrison, pretty good too. To say, yeah, you know what? Let's just see what happens when you add those two to a roster here, especially in their prime.
At first, I was trying to think about a cornerback, maybe a slot corner, even a Mike Hilton would be nice to have in that position right now. But
Yeah.
I think when you look at the outside linebacker room, even though you might get Highsmith back next week or you might not, if you could just drop in prime James Harrison for this weekend, I think that everybody would be okay with watching that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty all right. I'd go AB and James Harrison. I feel like AB makes up for lack of tackle, I would say.
The Fields is for the Pickens also says, in response to your answer to his previous question, sure, but we were 5-1 in the division last year. That's one more division win as opposed to 2 playoff wins.
I agree. But you also did that without Joe Burrow. So you got to take that into consideration. You also did that without Deshaun Watson, which I actually think
might help.
Yeah, like that's I think that the having Deshaun Watson, I agree. That actually is a counterpoint to mine because having Deshaun Watson makes it easier for the Pittsburgh Steelers to win those games, in my opinion, than to play anybody else. So I agree with that one, but you didn't do it with Joe Burrow. I don't think you're going to get as lucky with the Ravens as you typically do, just because they're so good. What's more likely, I would say 2 playoff wins, and that's just what's more likely. But I agree with you. That's true. Just one more win over 2. They could pull it off. I would not be surprised if they went undefeated in the AFC North. I definitely would not. Also, just a quick reminder, they also didn't face Lamar in week 18 last year. Yeah, but there's always a chance they don't face Lamar have they ever played Lamar twice in a season? Like you just never know.
I have to go back and look.
Josh Johnson, baby.
Let's go back to Marlon's question, which is, do you think Arthur Smith and Tomlin are butting heads over the quarterback situation and maybe even Roman Wilson's status?
Not Roman Wilson's status. I think everybody is status quo, has the same thought here with Roman Wilson. Didn't have an entire training camp as a rookie, is just not grasping the offense and needs a little bit more time. Nothing on Roman. 3rd round rookie, missed all training camp, dealing with the high ankle sprain. That's a tough one to overcome. So I would say they are in agreement on Roman Wilson. I'm not sure they're in agreement with the quarterback situation, but I don't think they're butting heads. I don't think Arthur Smith's going to sit there and say, hey, boss, no, you're wrong. We should start Justin. No, I think he might have some input. And then when Mike says we're going with Russ, Art goes, yep, all right, sounds good. You make those calls. I do not. I just run the offense. So, but I do think, it just makes all the sense in the world for Arthur Smith. He's got to look at this and say, Russell Wilson doesn't have a future in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields might have a future in Pittsburgh. So that's a head start on next season. You don't have to restart everything a year from now. Arthur Smith turning Justin Fields into an elite quarterback in the NFL only makes his odds at being a head coach again that much better. Russ does not do that. It makes more. And in Arthur Smith's offense of, hey, we want to run the football and we want to do all these crazy things, it seems like it fits Justin Fields more. So it just makes way more sense for Arthur Smith to want Justin Fields out there. But I don't think they're butting heads necessarily.
Let's go over to Jason Cole. We got a couple food questions, so let's knock those out. Steelers fan from South Philly. So this is going to be a real litmus test for Jason's fandom here. Do you do lettuce, tomatoes, and mayonnaise on a cheesesteak?
Kind of depends on where you go, to be honest with you. It depends on where you go. If they offer lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise on a cheesesteak, I'm not going to turn it down because I'm always in for it, but not always, to be honest. And if you're in Philly, I'm almost positive they just go cheese. So I'm almost
I was going to
positive.
say, what's it called? A cheese steak. Give me the
Yeah.
cheese, give me the steak, and give me the bun, and I'll be A-okay
I'm
with
chilling.
that.
I'm always down for a little bit of something extra. You know what I mean? If you're going to toss it at me, you say, I recommend this. Cool. Sounds good. But if you're going to hand me cheese and steak, I'm cool with that too. I'm chilling. I'm not a picky eater.
I am. Let's go to
We know.
Sebastian. Let's go to Sebastian, who just simply says, do you like Wingstop?
Yeah, dude, I live down the street from. Listen to the things that I live down the street from, and you know most of these, so it's bad. Recently, this is outside of like the good restaurants. This is just the fast food restaurants that have made their way into literally my neighborhood. Wingstop. What's the noodle place? It's the Noodles and Company.
Noodles and Company.
A Milkshake Factory. Like 3 Starbucks, an entire Target. There's more. There's definitely more. I don't know. I'm blanking on them. But the Millie's, which is worse than a Milkshake Factory because they're so much better. I'm in Shady Side, so you got Noodlehead, you got Mad Max, and then you got 11 options. Pizza places. It's bad, dude. It's really bad. It's really bad.
You got options to ruin your health and your gut.
Yeah, it's like, we're trying and it's not working. It's not working.
I like it. Let's go over to Tyler Dots, who says, do you really think with Justin's mobility and offensive line, is Justin's floor really lower than Russell Wilson? If Russ can't run, couldn't his floor be lower now with our lack at wide receiver?
Nick, you said Russ's floor is higher than Justin's, so I'll let you answer that one.
I'll say this. They've taken long enough, and the fact that Mike Tomlin repeatedly said he's proven over this week that the health is not an issue, it's all the rust. I'm not as concerned about his mobility.
Okay.
So I think that it's still floor is a little bit higher.
I like it.
Let's go over to Marlon Lewis, who says, either way, if we sit Justin, has he done enough to prove that he can be our starter if he continues to improve?
I don't think Justin wants to stay here if you bench him. Why would he? Why would he want to? If he looks really good and he's the guy that you're saying, hey, dude, you're the future, man. You are the future of this organization. But we're going to bench you. Well, are you coming back? No. You're going to go to the highest bidder in 2025, which some team somewhere is going to give you some money, and you're going to go there. So I think the Steelers they shoot themselves in the foot there. If that's the situation and they're thinking Justin's our guy long term, but not right now, sorry. Russ's calf didn't give you that option. It's either right now and the future or neither. And I don't know what they're going to decide, but I don't think Justin comes back if you bench him.
Let's go down to the Honest Truth, who checks in. We appreciate you as always. Says, hypothetically, if the Steelers traded a couple of draft picks for Devontae Adams and could re-sign him, what do you think that contract restructure would look like?
Yeah, 3 years. I've actually been given some insight on this. 3 years and like roughly $25 million a year, somewhere in that neighborhood. He understands, and the Steelers understand, nobody else understands that he's getting up there in age. He's not going to have the best performances. A lot of it next year will be guaranteed, and then after that, it'll be very low guarantees, very low dead cap in case you move on from him. But it would be roughly it'll produce a 3-year contract and roughly $25 million a year.
Let's go over to Dalton, who wants to know what's more likely to happen this Sunday. Justin throws for over 350 or Najee rushes for over 100.
Justin throws for over 350. I think that's an easy one. Najee at 350 is not, I mean, that's a crazy day, but at this point, Najee rushing, for over 100 seems like a crazy day, right? Does it not? Does it not feel like that would be nuts day for Najee?
It does, but at the same time, do you really think the Steelers offense and the coaching staff is going to allow Justin to throw enough times to get him up over 350 unless they are down substantially in the game like they were against Indy versus could Najee potentially break like a 40-yard run that helps him get to
Najee does not break 40-yard runs.
He could.
He could. He doesn't.
I think that's more likely than saying the Steelers coaching staff is going to allow Justin Fields to just open it up and go for 350 plus.
You make a good point. I guess if we're thinking logically, what's more likely, Najee over 100? I would put my money on Justin.
Alrighty, let's go over to Alexander, who wants to know how important is it for Arthur Smith to get Pickens involved early this Sunday?
I mean, if you don't want helmet throws on the sidelines and, bad moments from George Pickens, pretty important. Pretty important. I think it's important either way. But to be honest, I don't think that was Arthur Smith's call. I think it was Mike Tomlin's. I think it was a disciplinary thing to say, look at dude, you got to either start being a team player here and stop putting yourself above this team, or you could spend your time on the bench. That's what I think it was. I believe it was a warning shot from Mike Tomlin. It was not an Arthur Smith call, but it is very important to get him involved early. It's important to get Justin Fields involved early. Come out throwing the football. But that's what they did last week. Let's not act like they didn't. Connor Hayward catches that deep pass early, and this is a totally different conversation that we are having and that everybody's having about how electric the Steelers offense can be. So I think they're going to try to again. I expect it to, and I expect George to be involved early. Yes.
Let's go over to Daddios, who has another George Pickens question. Says, is George Pickens going to be on a snap count this week too?
Yeah, I would imagine he is. I think the Steelers are very upset with George right now. I think he really is in the doghouse. I don't think things are looking good for him in Pittsburgh. The reports of him showing up late to work, not great. The fact that he blamed the refs, not great. The fact that he said, who cares about the eye black and who cares about pulling Jordan Lewis down by his face mask, not great. I think there are issues there. I think he's beyond caring. And at the same time, his dad keeps running his mouth on Twitter about Arthur Smith, and that's not helping either. So it is, I would imagine he is on a snap count. I think George is in the doghouse bad.
Let's go over to D Jones, who says, love the podcast. As we stand right now, how do you guys see the rest of the season playing out record-wise?
First off, appreciate you. And I mean, I still stand where I did. You lost one. Now you got to beat I think I had them one loss, not two, going into the bye week. I'm almost positive that their only loss was to the Jets. I still think you have a shot to finish this record where you stood. I don't think Philly's as explosive as they were. Cincinnati is not the best team right now, and Cleveland is yikes. So I think there are games in that back half that look less dangerous than they did. So I would say my record still stands at 10-7. That's where I see them finishing.
Yeah, I'd keep them around 10-7. I think that just watching what this team is, they are showing you that they can be very good or they can be very bad. And I think with Mike Tomlin, the floor is 9-8, and I'm not going to predict anything otherwise until I see it, which I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's what my logic is going off of.
Yeah.
But let's go over to RJ, who says, appreciate you guys. Is beating the Raiders really our test? I feel like we need to start beating more playoff contending teams before I feel we're actually turning it around.
Yeah, no, the Raiders are not a test. Let's make that very clear. I agree with you. The Raiders are no test for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's more so just like you cannot lose. Like it's an if you lose, you failed a bad test. Like you failed a test that you had the answers to pass. This is not a good situation. I don't think it's a test for the Steelers, but I agree with you. You got to win this one, and you got to start beating playoff teams. I think you'll have opportunities to. Beating the Jets would be a good one. That's a good place to say, hey, look, if we beat Aaron Rodgers, I don't care where the Jets stand. Some weeks the Jets look really good. And if you could go into the bye week like that, I with the 3-game winning streak, I feel good about where the Steelers are.
Let's go to Easton, who says, hey, guys, been a daily listener for about a month now. We got a lot of new listeners jumping on the line.
Shout out. Appreciate you.
Says, was wondering if you think Justin could bring the Steelers a playoff win this season.
This is East. We already talked to Easton.
Did we already talk to Easton?
We did. We didn't answer this question, but we already know.
He must have jumped it in there twice.
So then
the answer is yes. I think you already answered that yes. So let's go to the next question here. Do you think Minkah Fitzpatrick gets his first splash play versus an inferior Las Vegas Raiders passing attack?
Yeah, so shout out Minkah. Congratulations, my dude, because he just had a baby yesterday. I'm saying, yeah, this is you get on the broadcast. Minkah Fitzpatrick comes up with an interception, just had a baby the other day.
The old dad strength.
Old dad strength. He's ready to rock. So shout out Minkah. Congratulations. And I'm going to say yes.
Alrighty, then let's close it out with a statement, not a question, from the Honest Truth, who's checking in for one last time. Praying for 9 wins. I got $400 on the over.
I will not tell you how much I put on there, my friend, but I will say that I'm right. I'm riding this wave with you. I'm riding this wave with you, brother. So I'm also hoping for 9. And I know a lot of people in the city of Pittsburgh who are doing the same, that we collectively, have a little beer at that 9th win and just a little exhale. Whoo, that was good. Christmas is going to be fine this year. So I agree. I'm riding that wave with you. Shout out.
Yeah, and as always, please, if you're going to gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly, obviously.
Yes.
Shout out to our boys over at DraftKings.
That's a wrap for today then.
Awesome. With that said, guys, we are heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. We will have all the clips and everything posted throughout the weekend. And then our walkover will drop Sunday sometime around 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon. With that said, enjoy the game, hope for a win, and we will see you Monday. Enjoy another beautiful weekend in the Berg. Peace.